Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this September 16th regular Board of Education meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This brings us to our Tusker Pride segment this evening. So tonight we welcome Chris McCartney, our Director of Facilities, for our Tusker Pride segment. Chris and his team have worked tirelessly all summer to prepare our school buildings and grounds to welcome students and staff back on September 2nd. Chris had the opportunity to show off some of his work during our facilities tour on August 27th. I know Pat, Daryl, Roslyn, and myself were able to attend and tour the buildings and grounds and see not only the work completed, but also ongoing projects and what is to come in the future. And I believe Chris has some highlights to share with us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak tonight to you all about the ongoing work that we've been doing here at Somers. I really want to say thank you for not having me follow Jimmy. I really appreciate that. I'd like to take a few moments of your time to highlight some of the work our custodial and maintenance teams have completed over the last few months. I'd like to begin by speaking briefly about the amount of planning and work that goes into the high school and middle school graduation in June at Somers High School. While the building admins have the enormous task of student logistics, the custodial maintenance crews have a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to having the grounds looking perfect, setting up hundreds of chairs, misters, installing the red carpet, and countless other chores, including parking, guest transportation, and traffic control. And then after diplomas are handed out and everyone leaves, then comes the breakdown. It's a tremendous amount of work in a few short days, and I would like to commend the Somers High School head custodian, Alex Message, and his team, Gene Mackey and the Somers Middle School team, as well as the maintenance team for a job very well done for making graduation a success year after year. As we start this new school year, I would like to recognize the incredible work that took place over the summer. Work that often goes unseen, but is absolutely essential to the success of our schools. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude to our custodial teams. The level of dedication, professionalism, and care they bring to their work is truly remarkable. From floor to ceiling, inside and out, they have prepared our buildings for the first day of school with pride, and it shows. Whether it is cleaning, waxing, painting, repairing, moving, scraping gum off of desk bottoms, or problem solving, their work ensures our students and staff walk into safe, clean, and welcoming spaces every single day. I wish I had the time to name each one of them individually, but please join me in thanking each of them for their tireless efforts and for always going the extra mile. Our maintenance staff was also extremely busy this past summer with several projects that can only be completed while classes are not in session. For this team, summer is not a vacation, it's our busy time. In addition to addressing countless work orders, I would like to just name a few of the projects the team has worked on. You'll see some highlights up on the screen. Ollie and Peter created a new cross-country trail just in time for the Big Red track meet last weekend, as well as doing very thorough cleanup of the front of the middle school, all while keeping up with the day-to-day grounds work. Greg installed new LED lighting on the roof of the Somers Middle School and wired new motorized blinds in the high school library, as well as relocating several BenQ boards. Rich was busy installing bottle fillers and a new oven, replacing a fire hydrant at Somers Middle School, and servicing numerous science room chemical traps all over the district. Gary kept busy replacing exhaust fan motors, replacing valves and steam traps, getting us ready for the heating season, while at the same time servicing district vehicles and equipment. Brian was especially busy building walls seemingly all over the place, repairing floors, replacing panels and AC units district-wide, replacing and repairing doors, but most notably, he masterfully repurposed science room cabinets out of a music room here in the middle school for the nurse's office in Somers High School. But most remarkably, the entire team came together again this summer to create a new facilities and transportation suite at SIS. I am extremely proud of the amount of work that this team can produce in a small amount of time with such professionalism. I would also like to thank my office assistant, Patty Osborne, for her invaluable skills and attention to detail. Her reliability and positive attitude make a huge difference every day. I want to also publicly thank Somers Highway Superintendent Nick DeVito and his department for their partnership and assistance on several key projects this summer as well as all year long. Their collaboration made a big difference, and we are lucky to have them as a valuable resource serving our schools and community. I also want to express my appreciation to Chris Platania for his unwavering support of my vision for my department. Chris, your leadership and trust give me the resources I need to keep us moving forward, and for that, I'm grateful. To the Board of Education, thank you for your support and trust you have placed in me and my team. Your belief in our work means a great deal, and your support provides the foundation that allows us to grow, improve, and serve our school community with pride. And lastly, to Dr. Bronstein, your early support and engagement have already made an impact. And I am looking forward to working with you to continue moving Somers forward in excellence. I truly believe that with all of us working together, we can all continue to raise the bar for what our students in school deserve and can achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And as I said, the facilities tour was wonderful last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, at this point. Wow. That brings us to our reports and announcements. So this summer, Dr. Bronstein and I have worked to change kind of the structure of some of how our board meetings are going forward. And tonight and going forward once a month when we have our business meetings, we have invited a representative from SEF, the Somers Education Foundation, PTA Council, STARS, Tuskers Athletic Booster Club, Science Research Foundation, and Team Tuskers Mentoring for an opportunity to present a 1 to 2 minute update to the board and the wider community. Our hope is to foster communication and strengthen collaboration among all community members. So tonight we can start with SEF and Jeremy Newman.
Are we starting with the student ex officio? Oh crap, I'm sorry. That's okay.
Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, friends and neighbors, hello. My name is Jeremy Newman, and I'm here this evening representing the Somers Education Foundation, also known as SEF, as one of our trustees. I want to thank you all for this time to share a few updates. But first, if anyone, either listening at home or in the room, is unfamiliar with SEF, we are a nonprofit organization who have been providing grants and scholarships across all the schools, faculty, and students within our district for over 30 years. We do this by hosting local fundraising events throughout the year, like Harlem Wizards and our annual spring golf outing, and also by securing local sponsorships. But more on that in a bit. I want to take a moment to provide a few updates on things we've accomplished and some ways that the community can show support and connect with us. So first, SEF wants to congratulate Primrose Elementary for securing the largest grant in SEF's 30-year history. We were able to fund an $85,000 grant to build a new dedicated playground for our youngest learners in pre-K. What's also special about this grant is it pushes SEF past the $2 million mark in total funds granted throughout SEF's lifetime, which is really pretty cool. If anyone is interested, one of the ways we can show some lasting support is we can purchase personalized bricks that will line this playground. And if anyone is interested in that, you can visit our website, which is really easy. It's sefny.org, and all the links are there, and there are posters and QR codes, lots of ways to connect. Another way that we can show support is by coming to our events.
Starting next month, on October 14th, we are hosting our first annual trivia night at Burger Barn. And again, links to sign up trivia teams can be found on our website, sefny.org. Lastly, we would love to connect with all of you. And the easiest way to do that is by connecting with us on social media. You can find us at Facebook or on Instagram, and we keep everyone up to date with all the goings on, links to interact with us, and ways of keeping us connected and doing all the things that we do to support the district throughout the year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Next, we have Somers Stars, and I believe Christine Zimmelman is here for us.
Hi, my name is Christine Zimbelman. I am the president of STARS, which stands for Somers Tuskers Arts Rising Stars. And we are a booster club, and our mission is to support, enhance, and facilitate all of the wonderful work that's already going on within the performing arts curriculum here at Somers. So we don't have quite the budget that SEF has. However, some of our accomplishments include we do accept grants from teachers, and we have granted items such as tools and set building storage equipment for the dramatic performances. Back in COVID day, we did help teachers buy software that allowed students to participate in music programs, remotely. We do provide food for students. Like last spring, we had 200 students throughout the district at our Strings Festival, so we served pizza to all those students to support them being able to play for the Strings Festival. So we're behind the scenes during a lot of the performing arts programs that go on here. We did help, along with SEF, fund the repair of the baby grand piano, which will be an asset to the entire district. We provide things like lawn signs so that our student performers get some acknowledgement alongside of our student athletes. And something we're very proud of is we provide scholarships to students every year. So last spring we granted 3 scholarships to students that were either really positively affected by their involvement in the performing arts while they were here, and students who were pursuing a degree in some aspect of performing arts in college. We do meet monthly, and our faculty advisor or faculty member is Mr. Reynolds, who's the department head. So when I knew I was coming to speak tonight, I asked Mr. Reynolds if he could pull together some statistics quickly, and so I was struck by this. So in grades 3 through 12 here in Somers, there are 1,925 students, and there are 800 students involved in some performing arts ensemble: choir, women's choir, men's choir, chamber choir, orchestra, chamber orchestra, band, jazz band, and I'm sure guitar, I'm sure I'm forgetting some. So there are 800 students involved in one of the performing arts ensembles, musical theater company, but we have 70 members in STARS. So really one of our goals this year is to increase our membership. We really want to increase our membership, and I think by increasing our people being aware of who we are, so you just can go on My School Bucks and you can join STARS if you have a student in any of the performing arts ensembles. It would be a great thing to do, because the more resources we have, the more we can enhance what's already going on here, which is a lot. And then one little thing I just want to claim to fame I want to end with is that Tina Fey happens to know about performing arts at Somers, because last year when we did Mean Girls, she got on our radar and we got on her radar, so she did film a little thank you to our musical theater company for performing and doing a great job at Mean Girls. She couldn't make it because she was busy touring with Amy Poehler at the time, but she gave us a shout out, and that was really exciting to the students involved in that performance. So that's just a little claim to fame that we have. So really our mission is to increase our awareness, so people are more aware of who we are, and perhaps up our membership this year. And thank you for your time and for inviting me to speak. I really appreciate it.
From Science Research Foundation, we have Wendy Eagleton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Eagleton. This year, I took on the role of president of the Somers Science Research Foundation. I'm also the fundraising chair for the program. I'm very happy to have the opportunity tonight to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about the program and our foundation. So Somers Science Research is a 3-year course offered by our district. It's run by Dr. Malia. It's a dual enrollment science elective that allows students to earn college credits through SUNY Albany. These dedicated students are conducting extremely in-depth research and producing university-level work. It's incredible. The foundation is a booster organization formed by a group of parents to support all the science research kids in the program, assist them in whatever way they may need, such as connecting them with a mentor, providing funding to support their research, providing feedback at practice nights to prepare them for their competitions, and more. The students participate in numerous competitions throughout their 3 years. Somers is very proud to host the Somers Science Fair, the Somers Science Research Symposium, and WESF, which is one of the largest regional competitions in the country. This year, we actually have approximately 70 students in the program, which is a great number. We have a lot of sophomores just starting, and we have about 23 to 24 seniors doing their final year. We are hosting our kickoff event on October 16th, inviting all of the new and returning students and parents. We're going to have some of the existing students present their research and talk about their experience thus far in the program, and then we're going to have snacks, mingling, Q&A, hangout. Partnership with the district is crucial, so I'd like to thank Board of Ed for inviting us here tonight, and Dr. Bronstein, yes, and Mr. Rodriguez for supporting the growth of this program. And I look forward to presenting exciting updates about all of our phenomenal students and their research as the year progresses. So thank you for having us.
And then I think Phyllis was coming from Team Tusker's mentoring, but I don't. Oh, there she is. I'm sorry. Mrs. O'Shea was right in front of you. I didn't see you.
So I'm Phyllis Morrison, coordinator for the Team Tusker's mentoring program. The program was started way back in 2012. It's a one-to-one mentoring program, so one student to one adult. And the students are anywhere from grades 3 through 8. So our meetings, or the program itself, we match the student with an adult, and the adults come from our community. So it's our community members that we're looking to bring into the program. Their meetings are once a week for an hour, depending on which grade they're in. They're either meeting in the middle school or in the intermediate school, and we have a room in each building where these students and mentors meet. The focus for these meetings is on the student. It's not tutoring, it's not instructions of any sort. It's a time for the student to just be the student and to run this meeting however they see fit. In our rooms, we have games, we have puzzles, we have arts and crafts, we have some sporting equipment, or maybe they just want to sit and talk or play cards or do nothing, just be quiet. Sometimes you just need quiet time. So this hour that this student and this adult meet is really centered on the student and what the student needs. So we're trying to just support the student in any way that they need the support by building this friendship and or relationship with someone from the community. So the challenge that we have right now is having community volunteers. We have a lot of students that would love to be in the program, but I don't have a lot of volunteers in the community at this point in time. So this year we're starting our year off with about 8 students and their mentors in the program. I have 3 other mentors that currently don't have students, whether they've moved out of district or dropped out of the program. So I have 3 other mentors, so I can bring on 3 new students. And I have 3 applicants that we're considering and screening, but that's really not a lot of people to help foster the growth of this program. So we're really, I know the mentors themselves are going out, talking to people and putting up flyers in town and everything. So we're really looking for some more community support, and we'd love to talk with people in the community that think that they have an hour a week that they can devote to a student for the whole school year. So we can't take off for Florida for 3 or 4 months. So we need someone that's going to be here every week for an hour to meet with this student and just give them some support and attention and just hear what they have to say.
Great.
So
Thank
I
you.
hope that explains our program a little bit, and I hope we get some more interest in the community, and I hope in the future months I'm able to bring some good news back to you saying that we're growing and doing great. So thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Next, we have the Somers Athletic Booster Club with Nicole Dwyer.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Hi, I'm Nicole Dwyer. I'm the president of the Somers Tusker Booster Club. We're a nonprofit organization aimed to enhance the athletic experience. As we all know, Somers is a very big athletic community. So we are currently about 10 board members, and we're looking to add on more volunteers, just like so many of us are. So we thank the board for having us today to help spread the word. Some of the things that we do is we help to provide scholarships, grants, and funds either to the coaches or sometimes to the athletic department to help either offset costs or to provide something that the sports community may need. Currently, we provide Gipper that many of the coaches utilize. We also provide Team Builder, and that is an app where coaches can build a workout regimen for their athletes, and the athlete can then also sign on to that app. And so it helps to provide some outside of the season or outside of the practice time. So it gives the athlete kind of like a script of what they can do on their own. So we also provide that. In terms of grants, last year one of our biggest things was helping to purchase the shot clocks for lacrosse. So we gifted $5,000 to the athletic department to help to offset that cost. And in terms of scholarships, every year we host the Senior Award Night, and we have about $7,000 that we award in scholarships, 6 $1,000 scholarships, so 6 athletes will receive a $1,000 scholarship, and then we have Impact Awards. So, and the Impact Awards is awards that are spoken between the athletic director, so Tommy Albano, and the coaches. They'll come together and they will decide where those impact awards would go. And then, as in terms of the $6,000, the Somers Tusker Booster Club, we have our own application. So, and that goes out on, I think it's through Naviance, through the counselors. So all senior athletes have the opportunity to apply for that scholarship. And then in terms of how we collect money, so funds are collected through membership. We have a $30 membership. And in addition to that, we do sports signs. So the fall, the winter, and the spring, all of those like great sports signs that we see on the campus, those are from the Booster Club that parents purchase. And we have Tusker Pride. So we're really like, those are a really hot item. And in terms of this year, we are looking to grow our board. We added 3 new positions. So we have 2 community outreach positions. We also have a webmaster now because we are working on creating a website, a formal website, where parents can go and find out more information, because one of the things that we're still hoping to gain more traction on is letting the community know about the Somers Tusker Booster Club. So those are kind of the direction that we're going in this year, kind of growing just like everybody else. So, and we're just really looking forward to starting a great year. We met just yesterday. We had a meeting with Tommy Albano. We have monthly meetings every Monday that Tommy is invited to. Dr. Bronstein, you came to our meeting in August, so thank you very much. And last thing is we are initiating a liaison for each sport so that we have better coverage of all the sports, and any parent doesn't feel like, there's only attention on the bigger sports, and, tennis may be overlooked, or bowling, so we're really trying to reach out to the parents to be a liaison for each sport. So thank you for your time. We look forward to doing this again.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, PTA Council couldn't be here tonight, but they have submitted a quick report for all the units in our school district. PTA Council hosted the Welcome Back Breakfast for faculty and staff on August 27th. Each unit has been very busy welcoming students and families and jumping right into the new year. Primrose on August 28th, they hosted their annual Teachers Treats. Last Friday, they had their annual back-to-school picnic for all Primrose families. There was a DJ and photo booth and lots of local vendors that made the event a success. SAS purchased daily planners for all students to help them get organized and succeed in the classroom. Planning for birthday party, which is October 17th, is already in full swing, and so stay tuned. SMS hosted a back-to-school breakfast for staff with treats from Bobo's. They already had a fall 6th grade social last week to ring in the new year and help 6th graders acclimate to the middle school. And SHS provided treats for the incoming 9th graders at freshman orientation, and then also hosted the senior sunrise and senior breakfast during the first week of school. SEPTA has begun advertising their Shop Fun Fall fundraiser and hosted their first coffee last week. And hang on, I just have to get into the other update. The next coffee will be October 9th. October 22nd will be the SEPTA executive meeting, 6:30 p.m., immediately followed by the presentation on advocating for your child with ADHD and executive functioning challenges by Fiona Bradhay, parent training and information specialist at WILC-PILS, which stands for the Westchester Independent Living Center. This presentation will be offered in person as well as a Zoom option. So, that is me accidentally putting the community reports ahead of our first report, which should have been the student ex officio board members. If you might have noticed some younger people at the board table this evening. So we can officially welcome Jimmy Gallivan and Allie Lusthouse as our student ex officio board members who will be joining us for this year. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies, you were supposed to be A and not B, but take it away.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Allie Lusthouse, and it's an honor to be appointed to this position. The Somer Central School District has so far had a successful start to the year. Students are excited to be back in the school community and have been adapting well to many positive changes this year.
We will also be giving a more detailed insight into each school and what's been going on, but with programs such as the New York State Universal Free Meals Program, the new restrictions on cell phone use, and new late work policy, students have been excited to go into an ever-improving school year. So far, SHS has had a pretty successful start to the school year. Students have been getting back into the rhythm of school with academics, sports, clubs, and more. There have also been some new changes for students, many of them being well received. One of the major ones is the new district late work policy. There's a new 5% self-management grade that is in each student's quarterly average, and that incorporates handing work in on time, showing up to class on time, generally being well managed in the classroom. And students have embraced aspects of classroom responsibility, such as handing work in on time, showing up on time, with that being in the grade book, and a lot of them have received it well. And additionally, students have been adjusting to new cell phone policy restrictions that were passed by New York State. One of the major changes, obviously, is bell-to-bell restriction. So while we had the phone pouches in the front of the classroom last year, we now have bell-to-bell pouches, and we have all received each of those pouches. They're magnetically locking, and they also are signal blocking for any of the phones placed inside. And we haven't been required to lock, students haven't been required to lock their pouches, but they have to keep their phone in the pouch under a trust-based system. And as I said, student response has been generally positive, and Allie will expand a bit more on that.
So as per this new law and Somers' individual phone policy, there's been a noticeable cultural shift. In many ways, it has been positive. During community lunch, for example, there's a lot more face-to-face interaction between students. Just the other day, I was walking through school and I saw kids playing cards, which I don't think I've ever seen before in my history here. But generally, kids are talking more and engaging face-to-face instead of sitting on their phones. I will say seniors have felt the impact much less since they're able to leave campus and use their phones throughout the day. But across the grades, there's been a visible increase in social interaction. That said, there have also been some challenges. Our school relies heavily on Schoology to communicating information to all students, at least for the high school and the middle school primarily. With teachers posting updates, homework, and announcements on the platform, it's something heavily relied on, and students are typically checking it constantly throughout the day. Without our phones to receive the notifications in time, many students have missed important messages and sometimes arrive to class unprepared. While these updates can be accessed on laptops, many students are not using laptops every single class period or checking them in between periods, and the lack of alerts means things get lost more easily. Even so, the overall effect has been quite meaningful. Classrooms are generally more focused and students are making new use of their time together during the day. The ban has created a real shift in school culture, and while it may take continued adjustment, it has already encouraged more direct interaction and engagement among students.
Mm-hmm. And aside from the cell phone policy changes in the high school, there's also been a lot of other things that have been going on, good things in the high school this year. Students are continuing with a lot of our SHS traditions, such as Spirit Week, which begins tomorrow, our homecoming dance, which is returning for this year again, and countless other events. And students have also been appreciative of new air hockey and billiards tables in the Student Life Center. Especially without phones to use, they can now use them. As mentioned earlier, the grand piano in the auditorium has been restored and will be used to its fullest during the music department's engagements. Additionally, at the middle school, students are adjusting to the new school year and schedule with ease. Clubs and activities are kicking off this week, and we're excited to see all the great things that will come from our student groups and events. Tomorrow evening from 6 to 8 p.m., SMS will welcome families for open house, where they'll have a chance to walk the halls of SMS and to meet with teachers. And sixth graders also enjoyed a successful sixth grade social last Friday, and a big thank you to the SMS PTA for hosting. Students are also looking forward to the 7th and 8th grade social happening this Friday after school.
And then at Primrose, the first weeks of school have centered on building community and setting a positive tone for the year. Teachers are now using responsive classroom practices, including morning meetings and a lot more of getting to know you activities, to help students form friendships and discover shared interests. The schools also emphasize character education through initiatives like Colored and Character Days, and September's focus being on being principled, with second graders leading morning announcements on the theme. Students took part in commemorations for Patriot Day and Constitution Day, and families joined in for the back-to-school picnic. On the day-to-day side, the New York State Universal Free Meal Program is now in effect, giving all students access to free lunch, which has been a popular addition. Over at SIS, there's been a strong start to the school year as well. The school has adopted to the Winter Olympics as its theme, with the motto, "Pass the torch and share the spirit." Students are already participating in challenges connected to the theme, including the Accelerated Reader Program, where they can earn bronze, silver, and gold medals for independent reading. Teachers also read The Circles Around Us to promote friendship and inclusion, and SIS held its first student government meeting this week, giving students an early chance to take on leadership roles. Overall, I think the year has had a very smooth start, and we're very excited to see how the rest of the year plays out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for either of you. With the Schoology issue, has there been any types of communication with staff or administration and how to remedy that problem that you guys are having?
Personally, I've had teachers bring it up in classes and ask us if it's an issue, but nothing has really been done to address it. I don't think many students have gone to administration directly, but it has been brought to teachers' attentions.
Okay. Is there
And I think
any repercussions of students missing their assignments or? missing what they need to bring into class or anything like that that you know of?
I think as of right now, teachers are being pretty understanding, but there is definitely a tone being set that students need to get on top of checking it and figuring out how to manage it without their phones.
Okay.
And I think part of it also comes with the cell phone restrictions, just being able to adapt to not being able to check it as easily as before. But it's something we're, noticing and, taking into consideration, seeing how it goes as the school year goes on.
I think in the next couple of weeks, it'll become a lot more apparent as to how students are dealing with this issue, and if repercussions do surface, I'm certain more students will speak up directly to administration about the issue.
How are you able to check that now without the phones? Just through the library with computers, or how does?
Their devices, right?
So we all have our individual computers with us throughout the day. So in a lot of our classes, we're using our computers, at which points we're checking. But some courses and some teachers prefer paper only. So for that hour block, you're not on your device, and in between classes, there's not time to check. So it's really only in class when you can check.
So it seems like something we need to try to address at some point soon then.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't think we have any committee reports because we haven't had any committee meetings yet. I believe policy is set for next week still?
Thursday we have safety.
Thursday safety?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll start to have more committees scheduled as we get the month of September over, hopefully. As far as the board update, thanks again to Chris McCartney. The schools are in great shape, and the amount of work your in-house team has accomplished has been amazing, and has saved the district so much money with all the work that's able to be done in-house. I hope everyone has had a great start to the new school year. As everyone's mentioned, the Meet the Teacher Nights have been ongoing. It's also a great opportunity to see your child's classroom, but also to join the organizations that we've been hearing about tonight. On August 27th, we welcome back our faculty and staff to the buildings as we all prepare for the first day of school on the 2nd. Dr. Bronstein did a fantastic job setting the tone for the year. And in that vein, I just wanted to share some of what I spoke to that day, focusing on our commitment to fostering a supportive and engaging school environment. I reflected on the power of working together towards a common goal. Each student, family, and community member is a vibrant thread woven into the intricate fabric that makes our schools exceptional. One thread on its own, no matter how colorful or sturdy, cannot create the strength, beauty, or purpose of this fabric. But when we join together, when we listen, collaborate, and support one another, we become something greater than the sum of our parts. Our unity is our true strength, and it's always what has it's what allows us to lead by example, to navigate challenges, to celebrate victories, and most importantly, to do what's best for our students who remain at the heart of everything we do. So this commitment to collaboration and growth ensures that every decision we make is centered on fostering an environment where students and staff can thrive. By strengthening our connections and shared vision, we set the stage for a year filled with meaningful progress and collective achievement. So I hope that as we go forward, our students can look to us not only for knowledge, but for guidance, inspiration, and unity. By showing them the strength that comes from working together, by honoring every thread in our fabric, we teach them lessons that will last a lifetime. So shortly, we're going to go over our district-wide success plan for this year, and I look forward to hearing our shared vision and priorities for the year ahead and how we can weave this fabric together going forward. I don't know if anyone else has any other comments to make, any other trustees want to pipe in. But I am going to say also that the SEF trivia night, we still need 2 more trustee members for our trustee Tusker team.
14th.
The 14th. So far, Daryl and I are representing. We need 2 more to fill
Okay,
the...
twist my arm. I'll do it.
I can give you the good butter like that, yes.
Okay, so now brings us to Adam's comments.
Thank you. Thank you especially to our parent and community liaisons. I thought that was a really nice addition to the meeting. So thank you, Amanda, and to the rest of the trustees for that shift. It's greatly appreciated. I will also be at trivia night, although there's some jostling among the administrative team as to which group you're going to be on for that evening. So look out and see where we land. I want to echo Amanda's and others' comments to Mr. McCartney over here for the incredible work that they've done to get our schools ready. This was evident to me from my first day that I came in, so I'm truly appreciative to you and your team for everything you've done and will continue to do, especially as we start undertaking our bond work in the next several months and years ahead. So thank you again for that. And a special welcome to Jimmy and Allie to be here with us on the board. The best change is you didn't have to stand up and walk over to the podium. You could just sit there and deliver your report. So thank you both. That was great for your first time with us. So I appreciate everything that you guys had to share. So much like Amanda, I wanted to just share just a couple things that I had mentioned back at the opening of school, because I had spent a lot of time between February and August getting to know everyone in the community. And the theme that I identified at the Welcome Back plenary session was this idea of unity. And so it was around this notion that we either have unity because we already feel united here in Somers, or we are striving for greater unity. So on that opening day, I shared words that are closely aligned with this concept of unity, including togetherness, trust, teamwork, transparency, and pride, just to name a few. And it turns out when we work well together and seek to trust one another, we feel better about what we do each and every day. And when our students see this collaborative spirit and our intention to work as a team, they respond with joy, happiness, and an eagerness to participate in school. So that was all shared prior to the opening with our faculty and staff. And then we opened school on September 2nd. And I want to thank our principals, all four of whom are here this evening, specifically for a great opening in each of your buildings. We also have some of our other building administrators in the crowd here this evening, and I really appreciate everything that they've done to get us up and running, and the back-to-school nights that I've had the opportunity to join, and those that are coming up the rest of this week. And our last one is first grade, I think, next week. We welcomed 2,451 students back to the Somers Central School District on September 2nd, 525 at Primrose, 569 at Somers Intermediate School, 556 at the middle school, and 801 at the high school. So it's no small feat that we had a smooth opening. You may have seen there's a new district-wide publication affectionately referred to as Tusker Tracks, which is a weekly note from me and working with our new PR coordinator, Allison McCaffrey. We refer to it as a truncated weekly report, pun intended, and that's highlighting what took place over the last week and the week ahead. So please look out for that to complement all the good publications that are already coming out from each of the buildings. We also kicked off the fall sports season, so I really want to thank our athletic director, our new athletic director, Tommy Albano, and all the work that he did to get us up and running for the fall season. Throughout these last few weeks and over these next couple of weeks, I've been making a point of meeting with all of our public officials, from the local town supervisor and town councilman to the Westchester County legislators to the state representatives and our U.S. congressmen. So I just want to thank them just generally for their service and for their help for me in this school district, because their advocacy and legislation is what helps things move within Somers, so I'm greatly appreciative to them. Last week, on Thursday, was 9/11, and I want to acknowledge our buildings for engaging in commemorations and moments of silence and a recognition of Patriot Day in memory of the victims that were killed on that day. So I'm really appreciative of the commitment of this district to never forget that day. So thank you. And next year's the 25th anniversary, so that's very significant. Last but not least, I went to senior college night on Thursday evening, where we welcomed a number of seniors. I think I saw Jimmy there and his family too. But I want to just recognize the fact that those guys are going through a process for applications, and it's never easy to do that. One of the changes you may have seen, and I want to thank Mr. Kavanaugh, who's here tonight, and Mr. Rodriguez, is we've created a process for more flexibility in the applications for college, whereby families and students can choose how they wish to best represent their exams to the college. So now there's choice in the ability to represent Regents exams, as an example, to the institutions to which they apply. So we're happy that we made that small tweak, but one that we think will provide greater choice for the students and their families. We also have Jess and Brian, who are here from the high school. I see them too, so thank you to them as well. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, this brings us to our first public comment section. Is there anyone here for public comment on agenda items? Okay. Then that brings us to the main event of our central office presentations and our district and building success plans.
All right. So we're just going to present that up on the big screen for you. I also do want to mention next week we are not open on Tuesday and Wednesday in observance of the Jewish holiday, so if you show up on Tuesday and Wednesday, nobody will be here. Okay, so I'll kick this off, but this is really a collaborative effort between our cabinet, who are here in addition to our principals, but we have a number of other administrators. This plan is really an articulation of the way in which we execute the vision and mission of the school district, and so these are the ways in which we are operationalizing our priorities throughout the school district at the district level and the building level for the 25-26 school year. And you'll see in some cases, they may be priorities which extend beyond this year. This year may just be like phase one of a multi-year priority. So I'll just give a quick overview of our process in engaging in this work before we turn it over to other members of our team who will go into a little bit greater detail. So I'm obviously new to the school district, and so for me, this was extremely beneficial and informative to understand where we came from and then make decisions as a leadership team around where we're going. So we did an activity at our administrative retreat, which I refer to as apogees and perigees. And I think Ms. Kearns, who's among the experts on here, knew that that was Latin for high points and low points. And so what we did first was think about last school year. I wasn't part of that experience, so I really wanted to gather this information from our administrative team. And so we did an exercise in which, aligned with all the elements of excellence, we said, what were the things that went well? That's sort of like a plus symbol. What were the areas for growth, which is a delta, like change, right? And then what are the things we want to carry forward? So we first kind of listed out all the things we thought went well, things that were areas for growth. And then I wanted to ensure that our team wasn't biased from any of their fellow team members. We each received colored dots, and each dot had a particular point value, so every member of our administrative team had the ability to articulate what they felt were like the most important priorities to carry forward, whether it was something that went well that we want to continue, or something that was an area of growth and change that we need to improve. And so what you'll see this evening is really the summation of that process that we went through as an administrative team, and it was very important for me, especially as the new leader in the room, to ensure that we had all voices represented and that everybody had part in a consensus building process that we could then collectively get behind everything we're sharing with you this evening. So the themes for the 25-26 school year are both district-wide and reflect work at the elementary and secondary levels, and you should very clearly be able to see the thread between an initiative that may be at the district level and is carried through at the building level, or vice versa, where we surfaced something that was going on in one of the buildings and we felt it was significant enough that it should therefore become a district-wide priority where the district was really supporting good work that was already happening at the buildings. In addition to the priorities, our team, for each of the items you'll see, have identified action steps, evidence and artifacts, which is essentially the documentation that would come from any of these priorities, and a time frame for completion. As I mentioned earlier, some of them are items that would be completed this year. Other things are things that might occur over several years, depending on the nature of the initiative. You may have seen from our communications, we initially shared this, the board may recall, with all of you as board members. This was then shared with our faculty leadership through our faculty retreat that we do. It was sent out to all staff district-wide, and then we did a sort of paraphrased version for the families and communities, because I know sometimes EduSpeak gets a little bit overwhelming, so we wanted to make sure it was very understandable to everybody who saw what we were focused upon. So to that end, we'll work on our first priority, which is 21st century knowledge and skills, featuring our learning office.
Good evening, everyone. So for our presentation tonight, we're going to be highlighting first the district level priorities, as Dr. Bronstein mentioned, and then we're going to be hearing from our building principals about some more specific ways in which these elements of excellence are playing out in each of our buildings. So kicking things off with our first element of excellence, 21st century knowledge and skills. This focus area is really about how we prepare every student for the intellectual demands of today and tomorrow. Our priorities this year include continuing to examine and refine our multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS structures. What this means is we're continuing to strengthen the way in which we identify and then respond to student needs across all of our grade levels. This includes academic needs as well as social, emotional, and wellness needs. So you'll also hear a little bit more about how this element of excellence plays out in our next section as well. In terms of academic success, a key component of this priority is our assessment plan. So answering the question of how we use benchmark assessments and progress monitoring so that we have a clear picture of where each student stands and how they're growing over time. We have a couple of important tools that help us with this work. So specifically the learning platform iExcel, as well as a new data software platform that we have called Linkit. These allow us to systematically screen students, monitor their progress, and plan for interventions or enrichments for our students according to their need and based on that specific data. So we'll also be focusing some of our professional learning efforts on those platforms as well.
And this work kind of takes on different forms based on what each building needs. I know our elementary colleagues really are thinking heavily about the academic portion of this, as we always do, and that small group instruction, if you'd ladies like to share a bit of that.
Sure. You have heard, we have spoken before about the importance of the when period, the what I need period, where we have built in a period of time each day for small group instruction and for students to go out for support services. So looking at all the different elements, looking at the data we have in front of us, and planning small group instruction to either support students where they are or to stretch them as learners.
And some of the things using Linkit this year to help us really keep track of that data, analyze that data is going to be really helpful at the elementary schools to help us with Tier 2 and Tier 3 math support. We're using a new program called Bridges, which is really going to help targeted instruction for students who need math help. We already had similar programs in place. We had PAF and we had the rewards program for AIS reading, and now we're really going to be able to target that math instruction for students as well.
Right. And then continuing our work on the science of reading. You've seen us up here year after year talking about that, and New York State had come out with literacy briefs. New York State is now focusing to their math briefs, so that's going to be a big part of our professional learning this year.
And for part of our 21st century knowledge and skills, reading and writing and literacy is so important, and we're going to be continuing our work with Wit and Wisdom and our science of reading. And part of that work this year will be, it's so content-based in Wit and Wisdom, is aligning our social studies and science practices and curriculum to enhance the learning for the students, which is really exciting to see when you go in the classrooms already this year, all the knowledge and skills that they've brought from the year before from Wit and Wisdom, and using that language and vocabulary in their classroom. So we just want to continue that through Primrose and SIS.
And at our secondary level, there is work, of course, in student wellness and thinking about that side of MTSS and supports for students. So if you want to share a bit about the work that's happening secondary level.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see a lot of crisscrossing between this 21st century knowledge and skills and our social, emotional, and physical wellness, because we know that students need to feel safe and ready to learn in order to achieve their best academic selves. We're going to focus a little bit on how we're supporting the academic side of things first, and then we'll circle back to a little bit about what the district has talked about with MTSS. So one of the things I think our teams worked really closely on is a more clear alignment between practices 6-12. So I think in years past we've been running on parallel paths, and now you'll see some of the ways we've really tried to tap into the knowledge of our 6-12 buildings. That's not only because we now share a program that spans both buildings in the MYP program, which is a 6 through 10 program, and has elements that go through all those grades, but because we realize that we have colleagues in both buildings that we can really learn from. And so one of the ways that we're focusing on that at the beginning of the year is a real focus on our differentiation practices, something we've been talking about for a couple of years now, but really aligning our practices and looking for ways that we can identify those practices across our 6-12 buildings. And so this year you'll see both buildings getting together in October to learn from one another on differentiation practices.
One of the other big through lines for us in that 21st century skills is uniting our practices in relationship to grading, starting with our late and missing work policy, which is a 6 through 12 policy, which includes that self-management category that Jimmy spoke about. And again, I think one of the things that Pete and myself and our entire team of administrators is excited about is leveraging the professionals that we have 6 through 12, getting them more together in a structured way to share best practice. And support students as they enter their secondary learning journey here in the district. This week in some classrooms, I saw students defining self-management as 6th graders. What does that mean? Which is such an exciting thing to think that someday they'll be sitting in their seats very well versed in what that means. So.
And just finally to highlight, we're excited to continue our work in thinking about best practice when it comes to instruction in math. Our K-12 math visioning team came together and did a lot of this work last year and kicked things off. And that was in partnership with Dr. Angela Sobrin of our local PNW BOCES. And we began to explore again, what do we really value in a math experience for students? And the team crafted a K through 12 vision for mathematics instruction and learning to kind of ground our future work in this area. So this year we're going to, as Katie mentioned, continue to explore those numeracy briefs and their implications for teaching and learning and what it means for our children, and use the recommendations as we look forward for math learning and growth in this area. And this year we're also going to do some regrounding work in looking at the standards K through 12 across the way, how they're developed, why they develop the way that they do, and having a very clear understanding of that, because then from there, we can move forward and continue to analyze pathways, programs, materials that we have in place, and be well informed to make decisions about things that are working well and things that may need attention. So we're excited to share more about that journey throughout this year, and we'll be giving updates more about the 21st century knowledge and skills area as the year goes on.
Thank you, Chris. So good evening, everyone. The next pillar of excellence we have here is social, emotional, and physical wellness. And you've already heard a few times that we know that when children are feeling socially and emotionally well, they can participate in school and be active learners. And so we have several areas that we're looking at the district level. One is to build faculty and staff capacity to support students' executive functioning and self-management skills. You have heard us come to the table before to talk about several courses that our own teachers in-house have run for their peers about social emotional wellness and growth in the executive functioning area. How do we stay organized? How do we turn things in? You heard that now as part self-management as one of the new self-grading tools that students are going to do, so lots of cross connections. What happened this summer was a core group came together to talk about what are the skills of executive functioning that should be prioritized at each level. They also looked at who could be a point person in each building for when teachers have concerns about how to support a particular student in this way. And so that's a way that we have built this up and built capacity for executive functioning up. Another area is that a few years back, we wanted to provide students and families with a wellness survey. This was a way to basically take just a quick dipstick on students on how they were doing socially and emotionally. And now, thanks to the CWAC committee, as we affectionately call it, which stands for the Social Emotional Wellness Advisory Committee, last year they came together under the guidance of Phil Kavanaugh to look at several different tools. And what they landed on for grades 5 through 12 is a tool adopted from the Washoe County School District in Nevada. It had input from the University of Illinois Chicago and the Collaborative for Social Emotional Learning, CASEL. And what the high points of this survey are things like it asks questions using more student-friendly language. It asks pertinent questions related to students' academic self-management. There's that term again. It asks questions that are considered less intrusive, and it asks questions that provide clear indicators for actionable areas. So what the hope is that information will go to families as soon as we figure out some of the reporting tools that we want to use for families. Families will be able to see this survey and see the questions for it before students would take it. And as always, parents have the ability to opt their child out if they wish, or if a student feels on a particular day that it's not something they're able to do or wanting to do, they could also opt out. But we certainly hope that many children will participate because it will help us see if there are any areas of need where we can support them. And of course, then also support, let families know what that is so that we can work in partnership to support students. Lastly, we are continuing aligning our K-8 health and wellness curriculum. There's been a lot of work with the PE department and health team on this during our PD days, professional development days. That core team gets together several times a year to work regularly on those standards and to make sure that they're aligned K through 8. And I don't know if that was sort of a more global overview. I don't know if the buildings had specific things they wanted to share about this, but that's a more global overview of what's happening with social, emotional, physical wellness.
I think an important thing to mention is the growth of executive functioning, that the teachers at Primrose were lucky enough to participate in district level training from some of our experts at SIS, and now that grassroots movement has really grown at Primrose. And we have a group that's very active in executive functioning, leading to a study group that's coming up this year. So really growing a lot in our practice.
And executive functioning at SIS, we do have a very strong team of teachers and people interested in this practice, and they've been sharing it with many of the other buildings. But it's led to a really teacher-led environment and culture at SIS, where at our last professional learning day, teachers shared resources with each other. And it's not that it's just in a gen ed classroom anymore. If you go into the gym, you have a working clock on the BenQ board as the kids start. You go in art and you see the list and the pictures of how I need to get myself together and get my supplies together. So it has really taken off, and we're looking forward to that continuation of bringing more and more touch-based people so that they can help each other throughout the building. And just to touch a little bit on health and wellness, it's our second year, that our health team, we have a PE teacher who pushes into each classroom. It's about 3 times every 3 cycles as we push in. And they've really worked collaboratively with our teachers. One of the Wit and Wisdom units for 4th grade is the heart, the literal and figurative heart. So students, Dr. Bronstein saw today, can tell you the difference between literal and figurative heart. And in health, they're going to be studying the circulatory system and the heart and how to take care of yourself. So that collaboration has been really great to see for the students. They're really grabbing hold on to everything.
And we're happy to welcome on board for our health leadership Kevin Mallon, for our K-8 health and wellness. Also with the leadership of Tommy Albano, our PE teacher has been working closely on health concepts, aligning them K through 8. So even with our youngest learners, talking about the importance of hand washing, nutrition, Lyme disease, checking yourself for ticks. So all those important things, and they'll have concepts they will be focusing on every month.
And it's nice that the 2 buildings, it really is developed together, K-5 and K-8, so that what they started at Primrose, we just go a little deeper onto what the next developmentally appropriate level is for those concepts.
So at the secondary level, we're going to circle back to the use of Link It as it relates to social emotional wellness. So our wellness teams, our student support teams, meet weekly in both buildings in small groups. And we'll be utilizing the data in Link It to support students' academic, but also their social, emotional, and wellness needs, which is something that is a practice that we've been doing for the past few years that we're very proud to continue to work on.
So I think the ex officio conversation today about cell phones brought up the kind of culture shift that we're going through in a building, especially at the high school. While we had a modified cell phone policy in years past, this is a big shift for everyone involved, parents, teachers, and students. And so we're on day 12, right? And so while there are some right away noticeable benefits to students and the conversations and activities they're participating in, there are pressure points already that we notice, and it means there's a shift for everybody involved. And so we're having those conversations. We're trying to identify those and get feedback from students and families and teachers about how we can make this a policy that does what it's intended, which is to increase engagement of students not only in the academic arenas but with their peers, without creating other challenges that we can't work around. So that is kind of this is going to evolve all year long, and that's really one of the focus for us, is to educate families and students about the reasons why and what we hope the outcomes are, and also to help teachers streamline their processes so that they can best support students now who have to rely on other technology or something else besides their phone to be successful. So that's going to be an ongoing process for us all year long.
Before we move on, I just want to say, I'm so impressed with how much executive functioning teachings has taken hold in our buildings, and I think it's so important because in this day, and this is something I've personally talked about for a very long time, because it just benefits all students regardless, the IEP, no IEP, 504, no 504, and at this day and age of being such a digital age where we have these immediate things constantly, like immediate videos, digital clocks, digital things. Kids have no concept of time anymore and time management. And I think it's crucial that, when you push down so much academics, which is important, that, when the kids don't have that play and everything else, sometimes you lose those organizational skills. So I'm so happy to see it being reinforced through K through 12. So thank you.
Well, Amanda just mentioned the digital age, so we'll transition now to global citizenship. This element of excellence is focusing on developing students who are informed, responsible, and learning to see themselves as part of a larger interconnected world. And that begins with local communities in their classrooms and their schools and reaches far beyond that. A huge part of this work is digital citizenship. So our goal is to continue increasing learning opportunities for students about online safety, digital footprint, ensuring that they understand the impact of the choices that they make online, and learn how to engage respectfully and safely in digital spaces. This is ongoing work for us. We also, and now on the staff side as well, we're expanding professional learning on artificial intelligence so that our teachers can understand how AI can enhance learning experiences for students, and then also so that students can understand how to use these tools responsibly. Our teachers and our students all have access to a platform called School AI. This allows for personalization and differentiation of learning experiences within a safe AI learning environment that includes teacher oversight and complies with privacy laws. So aiming to work towards some of those academic and social emotional priorities that we've already discussed tonight, with utilizing AI and other digital tools as ways to support that rather than undermine that, and to ensure that's happening safely and appropriately.
And certainly, as Tara was mentioning, thinking about that in the best developmental ways possible, and what makes sense in a kindergarten setting versus the 11th grade setting. And the AI committee and that group of teachers coming together has been so helpful in just bringing minds together around that and hearing different perspectives, that it's going to help inform our practices greatly. And lastly, in this element, we prioritize our commitment to making learning inclusive for everyone. It's work we've been doing for a long time now, ongoing work, and it involves both differentiation practices and supports for students with various strengths and needs, from academic needs to the social emotional needs. And I know Stacy will speak to this area more.
Sorry, Stacey. That's what I get for sitting at the end. So there's a very active committee of teachers and TAs and parents in the community that come together several times a year under the heading of LIFE, Learning Inclusively for Everyone. And you may recall some things that this committee has done in the past are we've created the Parent Handbook for Special Education, which we just updated and sent to families again this summer. And they also came up with some inclusive considerations for when we're adopting new curriculum. And then the other piece that we were looking at is how to provide professional development around inclusive practice. And a survey was given to all staff back in May, and one of the areas that came up was how do we best support students so they to support positive behavior, and also with that self-regulation piece. So it's come up a few times now with different hats, but that seems to be an area where teachers would like a little more, I should say all staff would just like a more of a toolkit and more collaboration time to talk about how to best do that for students. So that's something that we'll have that committee think about a little bit, and I actually just met with the SEPTA presidents today. They are also very interested in supporting this work as well. So that'll be something that we look to supporting teachers and staff in this year.
Sure. Why not?
All right. So as we all know, New York State is continually revising their profile of graduate and potential pathways for graduation. And so I think Somers as a district and the high school in particular are poised to meet those requirements and needs. And in anticipation of that, we are piloting the Seal of Civic Readiness, which is a seal that students would receive as part of their graduation if they meet the requirements. The Seal of Civic Readiness at the high school is a program that recognizes students who demonstrate civic knowledge through coursework or service and or projects, or all three of those things actually make up all the requisite components. We actually, in looking at the Seal of Civic Readiness, recognize that we have a lot of students who are already meeting the standards set forth by the seal And so this year, in our pilot year, we're going to tap into those things that students are already doing in order to award the Seal of Civic Readiness to many of our students, and then begin to find ways that we may not be meeting all the components and institute those over the next few years. So that is going to be an ongoing project, as Dr. Brownstein talked about, things that you might see over the course of the next couple of years. But we think that sets us up really nicely to possibly meet some components of the New York graduation pathways.
Sure. Okay. When you're looking at this with the AI, even at SIS, we had a study group last year that teachers started and a lot of summer work, and they've already shared resources. And some of the things that we're seeing in the classrooms are students are able to interview authors or people of historical fiction. The other day I saw students interviewing Clara Barton and Helen Keller through AI, and they can just, the AI responds to them as they are that character, that person, and the kids were loving that. We also saw activities where a student put in, there was a picture, a descriptive paragraph, and the AI was automatically, very quickly giving them feedback on how to write a better descriptive paragraph and ask them questions about it. We've had teachers being able to use it to make text more accessible for a student. Maybe there's a student who's struggling reading at a 5th grade reading level. They can take that same text, get the same meaning, and it comes out at a 3rd grade reading level. So it just makes it accessible for all, so all students can participate. So we're excited about exploring school AI even more as we go through the year. And with Life, we have our new Life coordinators, which it's very exciting to have. I know ours has helped us with our No Place for Hate committee, and also this year our book, our school-wide book of the circles around us. And the Life coordinator is really helping us to bring that message to all the students in our school.
Yeah, and the same at Primrose. So excited to have our Life coordinator to sit on No Place for Hate to help with Inclusive School Week. And then also to see her help us tie our executive functioning together as well. And then Linda and I were able to collaborate with AI, looking at the primary level, showing teacher AI as a tool to help them make learning more exciting. We were able to do that through a Jeopardy game on the first day of school. And, you know, it was a real success. Even seeing from our point of view, that would have taken hours and hours and hours or days to create. And we were able to do in just a few hours.
And it was about our success plans.
Yeah.
The Jeopardy game that we went over with our faculty and staff, we have, you know, it helped us and it was very engaging for our teachers.
Yeah.
All right, moving along, family and community engagement. So this is really about how we're connecting with our families. So one of the events that would happen this coming spring is the 3rd annual Tusker Cafe. Part of this is an engagement with the town of Somers. So we are going to be partnering with them and exploring what topic or topics may be of interest. But I think the goal, because it's part of this element of excellence, is really around how do we garner community support and attendance at whatever we choose to partake in this coming year. So I'm excited to partner with those who have done this work in the past to explore topics of relevance to engage in a process for this coming year. So to be continued in that regard. The second one, ensuring all families have access to district communications and expanding outreach strategies. You may have seen or heard that we now have a full-time public relations coordinator, where in prior years that was handled through a partnership with B.O.E. We felt strongly, and I felt strongly, that this was something we wanted to do internally. So I'm pleased to acknowledge Allison McCaffrey, who happens to be here in the audience as well, but we have our own full-time person within the district, and as such, is strengthening the partnerships with the community around communication strategies. In particular, we are kind of doing an audit, if you will, of the website to ensure that everything is up to date and accurate and as user-friendly as possible for the parent community. And then in addition to that, hopefully you've seen already that we've really upped our social media presence and wanting to provide a reflection on social media of what's happening almost to the extent that we can in a real-time way, because there are so many exciting things, as you heard this evening, that are going on within the district. It's really about shining a light on those things so that we're able to acknowledge them and provide information about them on an ongoing and coherent basis. So I'm thankful for Allison and her partnership in regard to that. The last one, sort of district-wide here, I think has been talked about quite a bit this evening, which is relating to distraction-free learning environments. So certainly part of that involves our parents understanding that this is a New York State law. This is not Somers Central School District, and we have worked to implement a policy that is compliant with the law, and I think we've been trying to do it in a way universally that is thoughtful given our population and the needs of our students. So I'm thankful to our student reps who are here this evening for their continued feedback on that law, because it most impacts the high school, but also to the principals for their thoughtful implementation of that work. Now to the buildings and anything they wish to share on family and community engagement.
Well, family and community engagement has been very strong this month. We've seen almost all our parents, our PTA, our SEPTA, so at the elementary level, we are so excited about that engagement. Some of the things that we're continuing to work on, and it's so interesting for its connection to executive functioning, is around attendance and punctuality. That if you look at the research around attendance and punctuality, the two grades where attendance drops off the most is senior year, but the other one is kindergarten. So really helping our families get off to a good start and seeing the importance of building those routines and working with them to really see the importance of getting off to a great start.
And SIS, I think we're really going to try and get our families involved with students reading in ways that parents can help students at home with our accelerated reader program and our challenges for the students. It really took off last year, and we want to continue that. And really get the parents involved in helping their students and encouraging their students to read, and some time off screen. There's time on screen, but there's also time we want the kids reading books, have those paper books in their hands. And that's one of our goals this year.
So on the secondary level, it's join your PTAs, because especially middle school, we are not just the middle children. It's still important to not take your gap years during 6, 7, and 8, but to stay a member of the PTA and SEPTA and be actively involved. And I think the same goes on into the high school. So we had our first PTA meeting this week at the middle school. We were excited to see some new faces. The middle school PTA is looking to plan an annual fundraising event akin to Holiday Happiness and the SIS birthday party to try to make something that is unique to the middle school. So looking forward to collaborating with them on that for the spring.
And I think one of the other things that both Jen and I work on is with our student assistance counselors through Westchester Student Assistance and Somers Partners in Prevention, which is a close ally around substance use and abuse. And also the other part of that conversation that's come up recently in the last few years is the student gambling and the risks that go along with that. So we're going to work on educating families and students around those issues this year.
Before we move on, I just want to add about the sharing resources to families to support distraction-free learning environments. As we discussed at the last meeting, we did put up all 4 policies in each school building under our Board of Education Community and Questions tab. Just that, so it's all in one place. If anyone has any questions, that's an ongoing, procedure that we're going to be dealing with. So.
And next, we'll highlight professional learning communities. And this element really is evident in many of our other elements in our success plans. Professional learning is the core of how we help move our work forward for the benefit of both the children and the staff. So a priority across our schools this year, as you've heard a lot tonight, is bringing additional opportunities for K through 12 collaboration. So we've created some new teaming structures from that. Right now you heard about the teaming structures for AI and executive functioning. We would also like to bring minds together around K-12 writing across the district and those expectations and what students are producing. But these teams are really helping us, taking a look at research, reflecting on best practices and practices that are happening in-house. They're assisting with visioning and action planning for future professional learning. So the more we can do that, the better, and tighter collaboration across the district. They collaborate both on our professional learning days and outside of those days too, where we find the times. So they're really providing a lot of important insight on important next steps. So we'll continue to build those as time goes on.
Another priority this year is one that our secondary principals already spoke to a little bit, which is further aligning our assessment and grading practices specifically at the secondary level. So they've already mentioned the 612 policy we put out with regard to late and missing work, and specifically assessing kids, instructing kids, assessing kids, grading kids on some of those self-management strategies is a huge part of our work this year. The MYP framework, Pete mentioned earlier that framework gives us that 6-10 bridge across middle school and high school. It's also very valuable for us when it comes to this work because it provides clear and consistent criteria for each subject area, along with descriptors for what student work looks like at different levels. So our hope is that through consistently implementing criterion-based assessment, we're ensuring that students experience fair, transparent, and rigorous grading, no matter which teacher or which building they're in across the secondary levels.
And right in line with all of the K-12 collaboration work is how the curriculum review process also plays a role in this work and refining this system for us. It's important for us this year to identify purposes for reviewing curriculum, how student performance and that data plays into this process and informing decisions and looking at what's happening, and how professional learning also plays a role in supporting both existing programs, materials that we have in place, and possibilities for new programming and materials as well. So that's a process we want to look to refresh this year and really have a nice system in place for both what already exists and things we may look to in the future.
I have a quick question. The criterion-based assessment, is that similar to like evidence-based grading? Are the two like collaborate together?
Related, but not directly the same. So I'm using the term criterion-based assessment specifically with regard to specific learning objectives and learning targets being articulated for kids. Mm-hmm. So the frameworks within MYP give that to us for each subject area. So for example, let's say it's ELA, whether that's ELA 6th through 10th grade. There are specific skills that students should be working on in ELA, and the assessments should be all aligned with those skills. And so students are being graded according to how they're performing on those skills. So for example, ELA would have analyzing and producing text and organizing and using language. So specifically, how are students getting feedback on how they're doing in each of those skill areas?
So you're kind of taking a little bit of evidence-based grading and collaborating it with that.
Yeah, evidence-based grading would be one way in which a teacher might be grading those types of assessments. Those assessments could also be graded utilizing more traditional numeric systems or letter-based systems as well. So it's really the assessment design being based upon clear criteria for kids, and then teachers, figuring out through practice what are the best ways to give that feedback and give that grade to kids based on those skill-based assessments.
So the teachers could kind of pick and choose which way they're going to do that.
Well, one of the things we're working on is ensuring that consistency, so that if we have some teachers who are utilizing MYP scores of 1 through 8, or we have some teachers who are utilizing a more a system based more upon the terms of based in proficiency, so proficient work, refined proficient work, that whether we're utilizing the terms, we're utilizing the numbers, that the communication to the student is the same, so that the student understands that their grade of a 98 means that their work is highly proficient, and that means that they are meeting specific criteria laid out on those rubrics, and that specifically those rubrics and the description of those criteria are the same and consistent for our students 612, so that there's no discrepancy in terms of how a student might be assessed in one class or another.
So they'll be assessed the same way in every teacher will be assessing the same way?
Exactly. Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
The final element of excellence tonight is on fiscal stewardship. So last May, the voters supported and approved a $63.9 million capital project. And now we need to look to move forward with that project. So one of the first things that we need to look to do is submit to SED for approval. But before we even got there, we've had many meetings with our architects, our construction manager, and our fiscal advisors. We have to iron out the timing of some of the projects and the amount of dollars that we can spend in a given year to help offset some of the debt that's coming off. So there's timing implications, and a lot of that does have to do with SED as well. Currently, the time it's taking for SED to approve projects is very low, which is great. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to get our first submission up to the state before the end of December, and then look to actually do some construction work this summer. Again, there's a lot that can change with SED in the next few months, but by the time we submit to SED, that queue and timeline or timing of how long it takes them to approve projects could certainly increase. But if it stays the way it is, then we are very hopeful that we'll be able to actually do some construction this summer. And one of the things, us prioritizing what we need to get up to the state in that first phase, because this is going to be a multi-year project. It's going to be over probably 3 phases for each building. We are going to start forming some committees on certain aspects of the project that we'd be seeking stakeholder feedback in. One of the things I can think of is just even the playgrounds. We've already got many pictures from students at SIS on what they envision a playground looks like. It does all involve many slides. They've been lacking for a little bit now, so we will do our best to incorporate some of their designs and see what we can come up with. So we will be providing regular updates throughout the process to the board and to the community, so they know exactly where we are and some of the challenges we are facing. So we'll continue to do that this year, and you'll see some of these same priorities for next year, I'd imagine, with hopefully a phase 2 and possibly phase 3 at that time.
I think community stakeholder feedback is going to be really important, and this could be a good way to be able to utilize our ex officio student board members even to make sure they're interacting with, I mean, obviously parents are going to want to say in, but I think the students are clearly wanting to say in it if they're sending you pictures of slides.
Oh, yes. So yeah, there's a few different areas even for phase 1. Again, slides were just one example of when we're going to look to gather some of that feedback from various stakeholders.
All right. Oh.
Drawn some beautiful pictures for you.
The pictures
We have
are
some excellent
quite
playground
impressive.
designs by our 3rd graders, because they're the ones who should be able to see this playground come to fruition.
There you go.
So last but not least, as if we didn't provide enough detail this evening, because I know there was quite a bit that we're intending to accomplish over the course of this year, we're going to go into more specifics around each of the 6 elements of excellence. on these dates that are behind me. I won't read them to you because you'll see them in the slide deck, but we'll have a more in-depth presentation on each of these 6 elements. I want to just again thank the administrative team. Hopefully the board has seen, and our ex officio board members have seen, that this is really a collective effort and a reflection of many voices and really thoughtful processes across Somers. So I'm truly appreciative of their efforts in helping me to get my bearings, and then also enabling me to contribute to the process. So you see that this evening. So thank you to our administrative team.
Yes, I just want to say thank you as well, and just to say that thank you for kind of setting up the general framework so that you can really have a good vision going forward. And I like the idea of seeing all these like systems and really kind of getting down to, you know, making it very aligned going forward. So anyone else have any other questions or comments? Okay.
Not tonight. Thank you.
All right. So I think if we wanted to dismiss the principals, they can get home and get to bed before they have to get up in the morning.
Well, if they're leaving, thank you for presenting the success plan. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, it's always really good at the beginning of the year to see how these pillars of excellence are all being implemented throughout all the schools in the district. So it's really good. It's very helpful. Thank you.
I was going to save that for the end, but we'll save you the torture.
Thank you.
Give everyone a minute. Okay, so I think Dr. Bronstein's going to take us into a board discussion of the regional planning update.
Yes. Is it MS Library, the name of the
Yes,
device?
yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Perfect. All right, so, whoops, let me come back to this slide before. There we go. So this presentation is really a sequel to what was initially branded to much fanfare throughout New York State around this term regionalization, in which the impression was that districts, potentially Somers or other places around the state, were going to suddenly consolidate, and I think the state realized and recognized the confusion that was caused by the way in which this was initially launched. I'm here to say, as the new guy to Somers, that that is absolutely not the case, and in fact, my priority is always to make sure Somers has input and voice at the table. We are making clear decisions about how we're spending our dollars, and most importantly, we're making clear decisions around what's best for our students. That's my job, and that's my commitment, and you have my word that that will always come first and foremost before we commit to anything else in any other district. To that end, what is now being referred to as regional planning through Northern BOCES, which is our local BOCES, of which we are one of 18 component districts. That is the approach that is now being referred to as a continuation of what was begun last year. And what I think you'll see this evening, and this is more of a conversation, honestly, and less of a presentation, because I do want and seek the board's feedback in how we go about this work. But this is really about how do we best provide ongoing planning without committing ourselves to anything at this point, that will best serve Somers and the Somers Central School District. So I'll share a little bit about where the region is right now, having just come to understand this myself over the last month in terms of northern BOCES, so I have that outsider's perspective in understanding where things are. And you'll see as part of this process, we really want to solicit feedback from the community as well, knowing that nothing we're doing at this point is committing anything other than ongoing planning to participate in the design of whatever we may choose to participate in going forward or not, based on what we believe is beneficial to Somers Central School District and our students. All right, so to that end, the reason this says September 10th is there was a presentation that was done at Northern BOCES on September 10th, and we felt it would be good to then share that publicly at tonight's board meeting, so folks online or at home would have an opportunity to understand it in terms of what was previously shared with the region. So the 15 districts that are on the screen behind me were those members of Northern BOCES who chose to continue to provide input last school year into the planning of what was then referred to as regionalization, which is now being described as regional planning. And I understand that there's since now been all the other 3 who were not originally part of it have also now subscribed to being part of this process as well. Did you want to add something?
Is this, just so they know at home, is this our region that
Yes.
we're planning with?
Exactly.
Just these
So these
districts.
15, and then Lakeland, Yorktown, and Briarcliff originally didn't commit, but they are now since kind of starting to participate in the process.
Yeah, just so like they know it's these specific 18 schools and not 50 of them from
Exactly.
across the
Yes.
Only
state.
Putnam, Northern Westchester, BOCES school districts.
Exactly. Just Putnam, Northern Westchester, and for example, the school district I was in last year is part of Southern Westchester. This is Putnam, Northern Westchester, and these are 15 of the component districts, not including the 3 that are also now part of this planning process, as I understand it. So these 15 districts provided input and feedback last year, and these were some of the ideas that were shared across the districts based on common areas of need that were identified across the districts. So specifically, there were ideas put forth around potentially shared services relating to social emotional learning, mental health, services that might help pre-K initiatives in the districts, transportation, workforce development, E&L programming, and then our SRO programs that are quite costly across the region. And so you'll see where those landed in the next slide in terms of what the specific identified activities might be going forward. But these were sort of the initial seed ideas that came out of that planning process that took place last school year.
And just to be clear, it's the survey that we filled out because we agreed to participate in, and us and the other 15 school districts. So these are the 6 things that came out of they felt were priorities for.
Exactly. Like Northern BOCES went through these surveys. Each of the participating districts filled that out. They then identified patterns and trends from the surveys, and these were sort of the most common overarching themes that they saw as commonalities across these 15 districts to then propose potential activities in service of these areas. So I'll quickly go through each of these things, and these are a representation of 4 distinct areas that Somers could choose to continue to participate in the planning of. We're not committing any resources or any money at this point. It's a commitment at this point to participate in ongoing planning in 1, 2, 3, 4, or none of these 4 areas. So the first area is what's referred to here as Activity 1.1, Regional Mental Health Services Expansion. So the proposal here, and this has not been operationalized yet, but establish a regional behavioral support network through shared services, potentially having shared psychiatric services, mobile crisis support, partial day program, urgent care expansion, and regional SEL training. The gist of this is that all the school districts at various times have mental health services needs, and we often have to triage those needs in isolation. So the idea here would be that through our local BOCES, they may come up with ways in which we can share resources across multiple districts or receive aid for districts we may already be accessing as it relates to mental health services specifically. Any questions on that one? Again, this is all sort of in a planning phase, but a good example might be we currently utilize the student assistance program through our middle and high school campuses. And so, for example, if that's identified as a shared need throughout the region, we may then be able to access aid for those services that we did not previously access. And therefore, there are dollars coming back to Somers that we weren't previously able to receive for a service such as that. And that's just one example.
So this is something that we're actually already doing.
Yes. So yes, exactly. So we already have 2, I think, student assistance counselors, right, in the middle school and the high school, partially grant funded, partially funded through our budget. So now we may be able to receive aid for some of what has previously only been taxpayer dollars. We might be able to get some of that money back now, right? Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right.
In like simpler terms, so we have this already, right, for the people at home. And if we're involved with this and share with another district, we could possibly get aid back from the state for sharing that with another district. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so this is a very broad description because they're still formulating all of the activities that may be included in it. So student assistance is just one example. Another has to do with a mobile crisis team. So right now, God forbid there's a crisis in which we need support for, let's say a death that happens within our school community. We have limits on what we can access currently. But if Northern BOCES were to formulate a team or a way to tap into resources across these 18 school districts, we may have a much more nimble and real-time response that we don't currently have access to. So that has to be finished. The plan has to be finished in that regard. So this would be committing us to continuing with the planning process to fully develop what that might look like.
But when you say committing, we're committing to the planning. We're not committing to the eventual result of whatever that planning may be.
Exactly. We're committing to a plan. We literally and will not spend a single dollar at this point. It's just about committing to ongoing planning based on where we are in the region at this moment in time.
So to stay at the table and be engaged in that planning process.
Exactly, because if we were to say we're then not going to be part of the planning, we are then subject to whatever the region decides without Somers' voice in this case. So another example here for activity 1.2, cooperative pre-K and CPSE services. So coordinate regional pre-K seats, CPSE provider services using a BOCES operated model in partnership with county officials. So an example would be, and this is not fully formulated yet, as our parents out there know, we have a universal pre-K program at Primrose Elementary School. We only have a certain number of slots currently. Well, what if another school district had some extra slots which weren't being used? Wouldn't it be nice if we could receive some of the slots that were not being utilized from another school district so that if a parent was not successful in the lottery, they could then gain access to our UPK program without having to pay the full cost? Because right now, you only get the benefit of the rate from which we are charged by New York State if you get one of the seats in the lottery, right? And by virtue of it being a lottery, you may not get those seats. And I know as a parent how expensive preschool can be. So the notion that we might get extra seats beyond what we were originally allocated would seem to be a benefit to the district. But again, this is just a planning process. We would just be committing to ongoing planning before anything is fully formulated.
I mean, that, so we're clear with everybody, that could be years.
Yeah, this could take, multiple years and months. In my experience, and Chris Platania here can correct me if I'm wrong, we have many services that we commit to annually through Putnam, Northern, Westchester, BOCES, but it's an annual commitment. So we can decide year to year what we do or don't commit to. And there are some partnerships with Northern BOCES that we committed to last year that we felt wasn't in our best interest, and we discontinued that. So my understanding is if and when any of these come online, we have full choice and agency over whether we commit to it beyond a given year, never mind whether we want to commit to it at all.
So, like, in other words, BOCES is able to, are pursuing these activities for the greater good of all the different component school districts, and we can decide what's going to be best for Somers in the long run.
Exactly. And I think, unlike a lot of the other BOCES throughout the state, the way Northern BOCES has crafted these activities are done in a way where, as a school district, we can decide what will be most beneficial. And that seems to be a little different than where other BOCES went with all of this. There's a lot of agency that we will have over our own dollars and cents here locally, which is great. Another one, 1.3, transportation coordination. This one was particularly interesting to me as I've come to learn about, fiscal stewardship in the school district, which we just presented on a few minutes earlier. The proposal here is create a cooperative transportation service across districts, including shared out-of-district routes. So to put this in the simplest terms, all of our surrounding school districts have a certain percentage of kids who end up going to private schools. Right now, in a lot of cases, each school district is, under New York state law, required to bus students to those private schools, and in many cases, they're doing so independent of one another. So what this proposal might entail, and again, it could be several years before it comes to fruition, is a way to share the cost across multiple districts to send a student who may be enrolled at Hackley or Stepanak or Iona Prep or any other private school within a 15-mile radius, right, in which they would then be entitled to a bus. So then rather than us having to do individual routes for kids within Somers, we're sharing the cost of those routes with North Salem, Katona, Mayapack, other locations, right, that we would then be able to consolidate on a single bus route, for example.
And that would be an equal percentage of shared costs.
And maybe it would be like prorated based on how many students you're sending, but I would think there would be a way to distribute it much more equally than currently, in which we may, for a given school, be sending our own students on a single bus in which the bus is not actually at capacity. So you think about economies of scale and the ability to have those kids go together. And it's not just private schools. There are students who, through our CSE process, are outplaced into schools through which they receive services on their IEPs. There are other school districts who are sending kids to those same programs. Can we put those kids on the same bus reasonably, given that they're in the same geographic area, as a way to save money? But this, again, isn't a program that's in place yet. It's us agreeing to continue participating in the planning of what this might look like. And that's what it is at this point.
So it's really identifying, I'm just trying to put it in my own terms a little bit, identifying some opportunities. It's things that, we're already doing with BOCES. It's kind of how we use BOCES for it's a lot of great benefits, great programs they have that they can provide that we wouldn't be able to provide on our own, or would be just way too expensive for us to provide on our own. And so this has given some priorities on what they can look at, and if it's either, it's probably an opportunity for us to save some money ultimately, provide or get some new service, some new that otherwise we can't provide.
Yeah, there's a redundant.
I tried to summarize it, and I got it.
There's a redundancy about this where this is kind of what BOCES does anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well, our BOCES.
Our BOCES, yes. So I think Putnam Northern, as I mentioned earlier, I think thoughtfully said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to continue to provide additional services. And some of these, frankly, regionalization or not, they would have come up with anyway, because these were already some of the identified needs of their component districts. It now happens to be under that banner, but it's part and parcel of what Northern BOCES has always done, which is provide identified shared services, and Somers has full decision-making authority over what we participate in or not.
I think that's a really important point to continue to stress, is that at no point is the autonomy of Somers as a district or Somers students or Somers programs going to be changed or altered in order to meet a BOCES need. It's more, how can BOCES meet the complex needs of our district?
That's a great way of putting
Yeah.
it. Yep.
In a continuing kind of culture of efficiency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our plan, and just like there's 37 BOCES across the state, there's going to be 37 different plans, but this is our plan that, for our region and not for, and it's not going to look like anyone else's plan per se.
Exactly. And this last one, activity 1.4, regional work-based learning coordination, develop a centralized system for internship opportunities and implement work-based learning coordinators across high schools. I was excited about this. I see Sochet here in the audience. We have our seniors at the high school. We've got two of them here with us who may engage in internships at some point in their senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So what this idea is rather than Somers in isolation trying to pair you with someone to be a mentor or a business or an organization with whom you would work, maybe there can be a centralized database that Putnam Northern Westchester maintains for all the area high schools, so that any senior who wishes to explore a potential internship in law, medicine, athletics, business, would then have access to like an ongoing list of vetted organizations and partners with whom they may be able to engage for this internship. I know from just speaking with families as I've gotten started that sometimes the internships are really successful and other times not so much, perhaps because it was the first time the family was doing it and or the first time the other person was involved in it. This would almost be a way of like getting a clearinghouse for any internships that our seniors participate in, so that we can ensure it's a valuable experience, that you are using the last vestige of your senior year in a way that will be most beneficial to you, so that whether you choose to go on to a four-year college, a two-year college, military service, or into the workplace, that what you did those last several months in high school was extremely important and meaningful. So it's compelling in terms of the way it was described. Again, it's not in operation at this moment in time. It's about Somers having the ability to continue to participate in the planning for whatever this might look like in the near future or not so near future, because some of these things may take a while to come to fruition.
I think it'd be a good idea, something that we talked about earlier, is to get this down on paper or online.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much paper's being used anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But get this down so people could read and see exactly what it is that we're agreeing to at this point and what it can be or what it can't be.
Mm-hmm.
However, which way we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if something you do get involved in X amount of years from now, you want to try it for a year, it's something you can get out of. It's not, you're locked in, you're signing, signing it away.
Mm-hmm.
And just, some things we talked about earlier, get that down and put that online on our website or however we want to distribute it. Just way people have a bit of an understanding of what it is and what it's not.
Yeah, I think, like we could probably, like for each of these 4 activities, have like an example of what it might look like within Somers.
Yeah.
Just a way of operationalizing that activity locally, even though we're not there yet in all cases, right?
Or even, how much, I know you can't put a number on it, but, in certain areas where you can get aid back that we're putting out money for now that you can get back from the state if this is something we decide to get involved in.
Exactly. And that's, Chris is the expert over here, but a certain percentage of our budget goes to BOCES programs for which we receive aid annually. So the ultimate culmination of all this, if and when we do decide to provide any resources or dollars towards any of these things, would be in the form of a COSER, a co-service, that's what that term is, for which we would then receive aid the following school year, as we do currently. Right? It would just be about, are we adding 1, 2, or 3, or 4 more things into that bucket that we already have, and that in every other year we annually decide if we want to take certain things out of the bucket or add other new things in. There will just be additional options for us in the future. But I think to try to think through some of that to help the general public, to clarify a lot of, I think, misconceptions and confusion that was instigated by the state, that would be really helpful. So thank you for that. The only other thing I'll just show you, these other 4 areas are ideas. These are further behind in the planning process than the 4 activities that were shown. So the 4 activities are what we would essentially be continuing to contribute towards the planning if we so chose. These are other ideas that are further behind, and we don't have to commit to any of this at this point in time, but these are just to show the general public what are some of the other things that BOCES is thinking about in terms of services that may ultimately save us money and help us be more efficient as a school district. Do you want me to go through these or not necessarily at this point? Okay.
I don't think so, because we don't have to worry about those as far as
so
the
far
deadline
off.
that's upcoming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to Pat's point and others, the proposed process that we wanted to unveil and share this evening, because tonight happens to be September 16th, we wanted to provide an opportunity for the general public to provide feedback on this idea of regional planning and what of those 4 activities you think Somers should or should not, in some cases, continue to collaborate on in terms of planning. So the idea was that there would be an opportunity for public comment between tomorrow up until September 26th. So what you'll see at some point in the day tomorrow is that splash screen on the website, much like you would for the safety plan, as an example. That'll be there, or when we have a snow day, you'll get that splash screen. We'll get the splash screen for this regional planning process, and we'll have the slide deck. We'll add in the additional information that you requested onto that so people have access to it. And then if you had feedback, you can email the board's email here. Once you send it to BOE members at somerschools.org, that will go to all 7 trustees, and it'll give them an opportunity to curate the feedback from the community. Then we'll have an opportunity to analyze that feedback and really consolidate it between September 27th and September 29th. September 30th is then the deadline for Somers, AKA me, to elect to continue collaboration in any of the 4 identified areas. So the key is to look at this one slide around activities, which we'll flesh out a little further with some examples in better detail. to decide whether you think we should continue to participate in the planning of these 4 activities, knowing that we are not committing a single dollar at this point, and I have a full, you have my full commitment that we will only do those things which will be beneficial to our students in Somers Central School District. So after September 30th, this is then submitted to Northern BOCES along with the other 18 districts who are electing to continue to contribute to the planning process, which then gets put together in a bigger report on behalf of Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. And following that, this will then just be available on the website, I think under that community questions and answers section, where we can have additional information about the regional planning process and kind of where we are along the way. But as I see it, you know, if you're thinking about the baseball analogy, like we're not even at first base yet, you know, of a home run, so to speak. So we're still at the very early stages of this process. We just have to articulate as a school district by October 1st whether we want to continue collaborating on the planning of any of those 4 activities. So that's what the board is seeking feedback on at this point. So look on the website over the next week and a half or so, and you'll have an opportunity to provide feedback before we make a determination on which of the 4, if any, we will continue to contribute to the planning for.
Yeah, and because we just really want to hear, you know, from the community. We thought it was important that we hear from the community overall, just because obviously now that the plan's a little more fleshed out than it was last year, it's really starting to take shape, and now we have these 4 activities and these 4 buckets identified. And is that something that we want to continue to be in discussions with BOCES on? So.
I was one of the people that voted no on it last year, and after clarifying and seeing what's going on in the last presentation, at this point, I'm fine going forward with it. I think most of the questions that were brought up and the concerns have been discussed today. We're not going to get dragged into anything. We're still in early planning stages, so at this point, I'm back on board. And even some of the schools that we thought had opted out or had opted out are now back in. So, you know, I think everybody's still everybody's in right now. So, at this point, I don't really have the concerns that were and anything that was expressed to me to back out last time. You know, I'm fine with it at this point.
So all of the 18 schools that would be in our region are currently participating.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Because in all honesty, our plan is really just about discussion still right now, and without signing any like commitment on the dotted line into a COSER. And then once we do, we all have our own decisions to make on that. So I think PNW BOCES has done a great job of facilitating this and figuring out what's best for our section. So thank you. Okay, so with that, we're going to make sure that goes up tomorrow on the website so everyone can look for that.
Please take a look at it.
Yeah. We're happy to have a discussion with you guys. Right, I'm sure, Adam, you'll take conversations from anyone if they have.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody wants to give me a call, please do.
Wonderful. All right, so now that's going to bring us to financial reports, acceptance of warrants reports, statements of revenues, treasurer's reports, and budget status report. That's accepted. Approval of minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education, having received copies of minutes of the meetings of 8/12/25 and 8/26/25, hereby approves same.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Personnel consent agenda. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby approves the attached personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? CSE, CPSE meeting recommendations. Resolved that the Board of Education, having received copies of recommendations of the meetings as listed on the attached memo, hereby approves same.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Business consent agenda. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby approves the attached business agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Do you have anything to point out before we approve it, Chris?
There's just a few different contracts for special education, and then there's also, I know we talked a lot about tonight, the student assistance services and the counselors that we have at both the high school and the middle school. So part of that funding is from one of this Drug-Free Communities grant, and on the agenda tonight is a coordinator for that grant to approve a contract with her for which now we're going to be entering our 8th year of that grant. So
That's great. And then we're also going to be able to start getting some aid about that going forward, correct?
for
Because of
the
COSER?
student assistant counselors that we do contract with, yes.
That's wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? So this is an MOA for the SHS head custodial work salary schedule. Should we explain this before we go into it, or is everyone comfortable? Resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby approves a memorandum of agreement between the Somers Central School District and the Somers School Related Professionals, SSRP, dated 8/22/2025, regarding a new salary schedule for the title position of head custodial worker at Somers High School.
So moved.
Second.
So just to explain it, because we originally used to do this through stipends, I believe, so we just created a different step procedures, because we're no longer allowed to do it through stipends, I believe, through the civil service law or whatever law we have to use through. It's not civil service, sorry.
It is civil service.
So it would just be for the head custodian at the high school?
Yes, just for the head custodian at the high school. Obviously, the building is much larger. There's a lot more staff. There's a lot more events going on there constantly. So this is just to give us a little bit of an increase towards for that custodian that is at the high school at that time.
For the greater responsibility. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Okay, and this brings us to our second public forum opportunity. If anyone has any public comments in general? Nobody? Okay. Then that brings us to our final comments. If anyone has anything.
I'll go. Again, thank you to the admin for today, for the presentation. I think you guys did an excellent job. Thank you for hanging around and doing that for us. Thank you for the community members that came out tonight to explain your individual organizations and exactly what you guys do. It was a great presentation. Thank you. And I hope that by you guys coming out tonight, more people jump on and help out and, join some of these organizations, because they're really good for the community and for the school. Also, thanks for Chris for the updates in the building and grounds. Did a good job on those updates. Also for our student members, our new student members, I gotta tell you, I was a little apprehensive about this first, but meeting you guys, you guys are great, and I'm glad you're here. And I hope you're glad you're here now after this first meeting. But welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one thing I wanted to touch on, a little situation we had last week. I just wanted to say thank you to our cabinet and Dr. B with the SRO situation for the swift and collective actions you guys took, corrective actions you guys took. I think that was a great job with communicating with the community, and people appreciate that. And I think you've seen that. Got a few good emails and stuff like that. So thank you for being so swift on that. That was a great job by all. Thank you. I think that's it. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
No, I think you hit on everything there. And again, it was a tough week last week with everything that went on, and the incident that went down, and the quick, decisive action, and it was pretty much wrapped up before 8:30, which was testament to your leadership, your team, how quickly it went through, and the response I got throughout the community was pretty positive, and it's not very often we get nice emails, so that's good. But thank you for that.
I just wanted to say that in listening to all of the presentations of the different organizations, volunteer organizations that work to support our schools, that it makes me grateful to be part of a community that is vested in such a variety of interests, because it means that every student, from the student who is musically talented to the student who needs a little bit of support and needs an adult to find them their best path, to the student who's athletically talented, to the student who is creating their own grants, to the student who manages to straddle numerous different groups, they're all being supported. And they're being supported because there's teachers, the staff, the faculty, and the schools care about them, but so does the larger community. And we're always grateful when the community comes out to vote in support of the budget, but it's also the daily, the monthly, the weekly show-ups to be at specific events, to be there at things like the Big Red Cross Country Meet, to come to support the school events, to be at the back-to-school picnic, that make our community something which we can all be proud to be part of, and which embraces what Amanda was addressing about the concept of the different threads, and what Dr. B was addressing about the concepts of different forms of cooperation and support. I also think it's really important to thank some of the work that's not always immediately visible unless it's not done. This entire building was set up for this meeting while other things were going on. The buildings look beautiful. The amount of work that's gone into the grounds and the amount of work that's gone into making use of spaces that were being underutilized, rather than us having to spend a significant amount of money on creating more office space, makes a significant difference. My last but one thing that I want to say is that it was fantastic to hear a report that is addressing what is really good about our district, but also what could be even better about our district, and to see that there is so much of an integration from how does this start in kindergarten and move on to 12th grade, where are their natural blocks, because it emphasizes the idea that while everybody shows up every single day to do their best, we also could all still be doing better. And being in an environment where it's safe to share, I really like this, but I think we could do more, allows for growth and for risk. And on the term of growth and risk, thank you to both of you. It is late, your school day starts early, you were eloquent, you were proficient, and I appreciate that you were both willing to say that while the cell phone ban has some strengths, there are also some things need to be worked out, because we can't improve individually or as a group if we're not willing to address what needs to be improved.
Or if we can't hear, we don't know what needs to be
Right, exactly. We need those voices.
All right, I'm just going to say thank you so much, Jimmy and Allie. Welcome. It was so great to hear your point of view and your voices today. So thank you. And let's see, everyone said so many wonderful things tonight. I just want to wish everyone that's celebrating the holidays next week to have a really happy Rosh Hashanah and an amazing fasting for Yom Kippur. And that's all I need to say tonight. Thank you.
I'm happy to be back. I was traveling, so my schedule was a little conflicted in August, but it's always exciting to see the planning and thought and with the presentations today on how our values are imbued into what's going forward in the district. And so you see that in the planning phase, and then the implementation, and then what comes out of it in the end. So it's really important for everyone to know all the work and thought that goes into the district and the education opportunities and programs here. I'm excited to hear, it was one of those things with the cell phone, the bell-to-bell ban. Yeah, we felt pretty good that we were kind of managing it before, but I really liked hearing the interactions. I think if you just go globally beyond Somers, I think we as a society, we need a lot more of this person-to-person, very personable interactions. Is how we understand each other better. And so it's really refreshing to hear, and it doesn't all have to be that heavy that, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world, but it might. Having those skills, those person-to-person understanding, it's a big deal, and it highlights some of the challenges, but maybe what comes out of it, of not having access to the updates quite so easily and quickly, might breed more planning that needs to be. Maybe everyone's going to need to check in ahead of time and know what their day is coming up. So it's going to be dynamic. I appreciate you sharing that, and look forward to a good school year. I love what you, Rosalind, focused on. The support from the community, I think, is such a great feeling and is such an important part of the district. So it's one of the things I think we probably all love about Somers, and we thank everyone who gives their time and effort.
Good. And I hope you guys, I'm glad to hear you guys recognize that the need for that, having that, and that you're all supportive of it. I appreciate that, and that I just, and that we're trying to cover, or hopefully are trying to cover all groups and all kids and all learners, because that's why we're here, right? It's not just one group. So thank you all for that. Anything?
No,
Darren?
I echo all the other
Okay.
comments of everyone else.
Excellent.
Yeah, what do you say?
It's been a long evening, so.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I just want to say thank you to all of you. This was, our first meeting, and I think seeing how supportive the board is of all of this and hearing us students is really important, and we value that. So thank you for, having us here and listening to our perspectives about all the different things, cell phones, all the different things that go into school. So thank you.
And I
We
just
don't
want to
know,
say,
we can't help. Right? So we need to know, so that's glad you're here.
Exactly.
I also just want to say thank you as well, and I wanted to let you know that I think our being here is not only affecting us and affecting you all, but affecting all the students in the district. There have been multiple students who have come up to me to ask me to report on certain things or not report on other things. And it's given me a lot of insight into how well-rounded the school community is, because I didn't realize before that how much attention kids are actually paying attention.
Good.
That's great.
You ready for that seal of civic readiness yet, right? All right, with that, be it resolved that this regular meeting of the Board of Education be adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Anyone who's-